The first show they play in the US is in LA at Whiskey A Go Go. The story is like Liam's snorting crystal meth before the show and after the show. And so Noel is just like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't need this in my life. I'm gonna quit the band. Okay, so this week, what did I listen to? If you don't know about Oasis, I don't know if you've been living under a rock or if you're just not interested. I don't know. You need to get your life together if you don't know about Oasis. Basically, the short story is mid-90s, Noel Gallagher and Liam Gallagher, these two brothers from Manchester in England, get together, start this band called Oasis. They put out their debut album, Definitely Maybe, in 95, I'm pretty sure, and just goes nuts. Like Live Forever crushes, Rock and Roll Star crushes, Slide Away crushes, just tons of, I mean, it's every song on Definitely Maybe is a single. And so their first album was incredible. Then they followed that up with What's the Story Morning Glory. And What's the Story Morning Glory has Wonderwall on it, which that's the song. Like if you don't know Oasis, you know Wonderwall. You've heard Wonderwall. It's like one of the top karaoke songs on the planet. And has become like a bit of a trope with like the dude playing Wonderwall at the party, which is stupid because Wonderwall is a phenomenal song and it's a massive hit for a reason, which, you know, like most hits are hits for a reason. There's like some intangible thing that's there. So yeah, they put out Wonderwall also on What's the Story Morning Glory is Champagne Supernova, which goes on to become a massive song. But yeah, so they put that out and just become one of the biggest bands in the world. I mean, they played this thing called Nebworth. It's like basically this massive field in England, and they sold like, I don't know, like 500,000 tickets to this thing, which was just like, it's basically one of the biggest shows ever, and it's them playing in a field in the middle of nowhere. And just long story short, they become a massive band in the late 90s. But all the while, Liam's over here, like, you know, the first show they play in the US is in LA at Whiskey A Go Go. And Liam and I don't know if the rest of the band was, but the story is like Liam's snorting crystal meth before the show and after the show. And so Noel is just like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't need this in my life. I'm going to quit the band. So like flies to San Francisco, writes Talk Tonight, which was one of the highlights of the show, which I'll get into later. But writes this song called Talk Tonight, which they actually recorded at the Congress House studio in Austin, Texas, where I interned at during school, and got to be in the room where Noel was writing Champagne Supernova, recorded Talk Tonight. I remember Mark Hallman, the owner of that studio, told me he was sitting across from Noel as he was finishing Champagne Supernova, which is a great story. And then also they like wrecked the studio with their BB guns. But I'm kind of jumping ahead. So they play the show in LA at Whiskey A Go Go. And then Liam's snorting crystal meth. Noel's pissed. He goes to San Francisco, writes Talk Tonight, says he quits the band. Ends up coming back, obviously, and they finish the US tour. So then on their stop in Austin is whenever they write and record, or whenever they recorded Talk Tonight, which he had written in San Francisco, about some girl that, like, you know, saved his life in San Francisco or whatever. And I think even since they were kids, they were always fighting. Like there's a story in the Supersonic documentary, which is a really good documentary. If you haven't seen it and you're interested in Oasis, please watch the Supersonic documentary. It's phenomenal. And Noel talks about, or maybe Liam talks about pissing on Noel's stereo as a kid. And there's some like deeper stuff there too, where I think like Noel was abused by their father and Liam wasn't. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'll look this up after, and if it's not right, I won't put it in here. But pretty sure it was Noel was abused, and Liam like never got abused, and so he like sort of watched it. So I think there's like a weird dynamic there from the time they were kids. But basically, the whole time they're fighting. You know, they're the biggest band in the world, and they're arguing, and they're brothers and whatnot. So then they go on. They put out "Be Here Now," "Standing on the Shoulders of Giants," "Heathen Chemistry," "Don't Believe the Truth," "Dig Out Your Soul." All of these are phenomenal albums. It's really great music. And then in 2009, they're playing a show in Paris. And it's like all of this kind of comes to a head. The story is that Liam throws like a plum at Noel's head backstage at the gig in Paris, and for whatever reason, who knows why, he was probably high or something, and then he goes out and grabs Noel's like vintage ES33 Gibson and breaks it, and Noel's like, that's it, like I'm out. And so from that point on, they hadn't played a show, they didn't record or write. Liam and Noel individually toured as solo artists, and Noel's project is like Noel Gallagher and the High Flying Birds. And Liam had formed a band with Jim Archer, the guitarist that was in Oasis at the time that they broke up, called BDI, and that band was really good. But then they sort of broke up. Then Liam went on to do like a solo project, which actually I really liked the solo stuff from Liam. I didn't like Noel's solo stuff as much. I think Noel struggles as a frontman, which he claims to struggle. He's like, he was talking about the reunion shows, and he was like, I couldn't do what Liam does. But again, jumping ahead. So then they break up for 16 years or whatever, and then last year, like they announce we're doing it, like it's happening. We're gonna reunite and do a world tour. So this past week in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium, I saw Oasis, and it was one of the highlights of my life. It was amazing. Not to be dramatic, but like I was literally like, as a kid, I had this babysitter, Cody Calhoun, and he introduced me to like wrestling, and he would play like rap music in the car, and he would play Oasis, and we would sing Champagne Supernova in the car together. And I vividly remember, I'm like, I don't know, I had to be like 9 years old or something, but probably younger than that. And I was obsessed with it. I liked Oasis a lot. And so, yeah, I like went to the show. Me and my buddy Scott, who lives in Brooklyn, we went to the show, and it was incredible. I think like Liam sounded really good. I think he's taking care of his voice. And because there have been shows in the past decade that he hasn't sounded so good, like during his solo project. So he's definitely healthy. He's definitely like looking after himself, sounding great. Noel sounded great. Liam did like the first 5 or 6 songs, and then Noel went on and did. Then Liam walked off stage. Noel did like Talk Tonight, Little by Little, another one of Noel's songs. Because that's the other thing about Oasis is like Noel will sing some, like another massive song from What's the Story, Morning Glory, Don't Look Back in Anger. Noel only sings that. So I would say the standout songs from the show for me was actually Slide Away, which I didn't expect. Like just crushed Slide Away. Absolutely hammered Slide Away. It was amazing. And I think like the end of it too, where he's like, there's the kind of like callback at the end, or maybe it's like a new piece, and Liam's vocal on that was just phenomenal. And then Talk Tonight was another one. I think because I just have like a relationship with that song, where like I was at the studio where they recorded it, and I really like that song. And Noel, it's my favorite song that Noel sings. I would even say beyond Don't Look Back in Anger. And then obviously like Champagne Supernova, they finished with Champagne Supernova, and it was just mega, dude. Like you've got 70,000 people in MetLife Stadium singing, Champagne Supernova. It's just a moment that I will never forget. So yeah, it was just amazing. But then after the show, they played a couple of songs that I wasn't super familiar with, like Little by Little was one of them. And it's from Little by Little, I think it's from Heathen Chemistry or Don't Believe the Truth. So anyways, I went back and listened to Heathen Chemistry, Don't Believe the Truth, and Dig Out Your Soul, because I wasn't as familiar with those because they were after Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. And so listen to those, and the 2 songs that I've kind of had on repeat all week have been Keep the Dream Alive from Don't Believe the Truth, and then To Be Where There's Life from Dig Out Your Soul. And they're both kind of similar. To Be Where There's Life reminds me of Tomorrow Never Knows. Like it has the droning sitar sound that is in Tomorrow Never Knows. And it's like 2 chords. Super simple, but just like hypnotic, And then Keep the Dream Alive is just like this super positive, very like the rhythm of the guitar strumming is very interesting. And again, like the thing that I love about Oasis is like Noel is just like playing chords that are like in the box, which means like on the bottom of the neck, like G, like that, those type of chords. But they're just so rich and so deep. Like he does simplicity so well. And I think it obviously shows in the original stuff. And then I think the other thing that I take away from those songs and even from the show, it's like, and I've always thought this about Oasis, is that their lyrics, like the lyrics, no rights, are very kind of uplifting and positive, which is interesting because it's like they're like characteristically like ego fueled. Like Liam and Noel have always been like, like there's a great classic interview with Liam and Carson Daly where Carson's like, it's on TRL, which is this old show on MTV where they would, like, Carson would interview artists and they would play songs. And Carson's like, Liam, how you feeling? And he's like, godlike. And he's like, okay. Carson's like, okay. And then he's like, what do you do? You're in New York. What are you doing? You're in New York. I just eat burgers, man. He's like, I just eat burgers. So anyways, they're like super egomaniacal, but the content of the songs is like love each other, because we need each other. Like in Keep the Dream Alive, it's like I know I'm gonna fall, like I know I'm gonna fall from grace, but I'm gonna keep the dream alive. Keep the dream alive. It's just very interesting. And then To Be Where There's Life, it's like also very like focused around love and life, and it's just cool. And there's this quote from Noel where he's talking to Rolling Stone, and he's like, my songs all contain some kind of hope in them. I try to get some kind of hope and joy in there. I think there's enough fucking bullshit in the world. You can sit around and write about the news. Someone is doing it right now. Tom York probably. And I think there's too much of that in the world. It's very easy to write angst. I find it very difficult. And then there's a great video of Liam talking about it, which I'll play.
I'm not into writing fucking morbid music like the rest of these pricks that are playing here. They all write bollocks, you know what I mean? They're all like fucking... They're all in pain. Well, my fucking ears are in pain.
The last few years, it's basically been a consensus that Justin Bieber is just totally losing his mind, that he's just like off the rails, like on social media. Like there was that video of him being like, I'm standing on business. Do you not see that I'm standing on business? And that went super viral. And then he was like, smoking weed on Instagram Live, and like his friends were saying he was like spending all of his money, not working, blah, 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 blah. So it's like kind of classic rumors. I mean, Bieber like grew up in the spotlight and has always dealt with like the difficulty of like public perception and all of that. But this was like a different scale. And then he just like randomly drops this album Swag, which is super R&B influenced, and like Dijon and McGee worked on it, who are artists that are like in the past couple of years have had like a Bon Iver stamp of approval. Like Dijon toured with Bon Iver and brought McGee along, and then McGee ends up releasing an album and that blows up and he plays SNL. So Bieber like kind of tapped a lot of what's sort of like, which I think he does and like pop artists usually do very well, which is like kind of consolidating what is like sort of bubbling up. So yeah, it's really, I thought Swag was really good. I liked Go Baby a lot. I liked Daisies a lot. Daisies is the one where it's obvious that McGee is like basically writing and producing the song. And then Walking Away is really good. Those have all been on repeat. Super heavily R&B influenced, and the production is super clean. And I would say like kind of perfect. Like I don't know what you would change about it. I mean, obviously like Bieber's got like a great team around him. So I really like that. But then this past week, just out of nowhere, he like starts posting on his Instagram like photos of this pink album cover posted all over the planet at different landmarks, and released the second part of Swag that at midnight, and that was really good too. I like that too. I mean, I've only listened to it a handful of times so far, but what are the songs that I like off of that? I like Speed Demon is good. Love Song is good. Witcha is really good. The one where he's like, I thought it was easy, or it was supposed to be easy. That one's super good. So yeah, it just feels like Bieber's like in this place of like kind of rebirth, it feels like. And I think probably having a kid maybe have something to do with that. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it's great. And I've not like Changes was a good album like in the past, like Purpose and whatnot, but it was I never really got super into it. But with these, I've like I've actually been listening and actually been playing some stuff on repeat. And yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great that he had McGee and Dijon work on it. And yeah, go Bieber. So I finally watched Spike Lee's new movie. Spike Lee is a writer and director who he made movies like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, Inside Man. And his new movie is with Denzel and A$AP Rocky, which, again, I just watched for the first time last night. And I thought it was phenomenal. So I first saw that A$AP Rocky had released new music, Trunks and Both Eyes Closed. I like Both Eyes Closed better. Both Eyes Closed has more of like a laid back feel to it. And I think it's great. Again, I love A$AP Rocky and I like the songs a lot. But the movie was really interesting. And the thing that hit me about the movie was the score. And like Spike Lee's kind of notorious for this like unique style of directing. But he made this choice with the music. And the guy who composed it, who is Howard Drawson, no idea who that is, but that's who wrote the music, the score. And so it's like there will be scenes where it's like the music is like super loud, and it's like Denzel and his wife like in their apartment, like talking about some serious thing, and there's like this like super soft like kind of like happy-go-lucky music playing behind it, and it's like at first you're like, what is going on here? Like did they mean to do that? Like was this like an error? Did they forget to cut this or turn it down or something? And then as the movie progresses, like it kind of made more sense. I think I want to watch it again in like a week or two, but it reminded me of like the first time I had kimchi, which kimchi is like this like pickled cabbage that's like it's like a Korean like side dish, and you eat it at first and you're like, this is bizarre. Like I don't know what's happening in my mouth. And then like a week later, I was like, I need more kimchi. Like it's sort of like I guess like an acquired thing, but not really acquired. It's more of like you get it, you kind of get it more down the line. Like it makes more sense down the line. And so I feel like that's how this movie is, because like it got a little bit of hate. Like the critics really loved it. The audiences were like sort of like I saw a Reddit thread that was talking about the music and feeling the same way. But I would say give it a chance. Like watch it, and then because to me what it did is it's kind of like obviously music underneath scenes is meant to like evoke emotion, you know? Like if I'm like staring out and there's like a minor key kind of sad music playing behind it, it's like, oh, he's thinking, he's contemplating or whatever. And then if I'm staring out and there's like this happy music playing, it's like, oh, he's excited that something's happened or something's about to happen. So the music definitely dictates the emotion in the scene, but he's like, it's almost like overt. It's like very intense. And yeah, I think it's kind of like not surrealist, but it's like I don't know, it's just a different thing. It's really interesting to me. But the movie is also really good. It's like Spike Lee's kind of take on where the music industry has been and is kind of at, and how what people do to get attention. And A$AP Rocky does a great job. Denzel crushes, obviously. So yeah, great movie. I remember I was at Berklee College of Music in 2017 in the cafeteria, probably eating alone, like a sad 21-year-old. And I heard LANY's song 13 play. And I was immediately a fan. Like Shazammed it, pulled up the album, the self-titled album with The Rose, and just listened to it on repeat for a while. And I've been a big fan of theirs ever since. And it's been interesting to watch how their music has kind of morphed and their production is morphed, and the way that Paul Klein, the lead singer, has kind of the directions that he's taken the band. Yeah, I've really admired them. I've seen them live before, and I like their music a lot. It's definitely like pop music, but they have this kind of edge to them where like if I compared it to like Dua Lipa, who broke Paul Klein's heart and like will never forgive her, I basically would say it's not like glossy pop. You have glossy pop, and then you have like LANY pop, which is like kind of gritty, kind of it's more emotional to me and more rhythmic in a way. And like Jake Goss, the drummer, makes these like very interesting production and like sample and rhythmic choices in the drums. And I'm sure he has more influence on it. And also Pino Palladino played bass on the new songs for LANY, which he played with like John Mayer and D'Angelo. But anyways, the new songs are Know You Naked and Last Forever. And Know You Naked, which I did a cover of, and I'll like put a link to or whatever. It's really good. It's more intense, like more energetic, more intense, and it's kind of like a retro LANY vibe, which I really like the original self-titled stuff. And it's such a good product, like so well produced. Like it's kind of sparse, but then you have these like really cool gated reverb guitars that come in during the chorus, and then Paul's like ad libs are kind of random, and the harmonies are kind of sporadic, and it just feels alive. Like it feels alive and intense. So I like Know You Naked a lot. And then they just put out Last Forever on Friday, and Paul's like posting that this is like his favorite song he ever wrote. Which it'll probably grow on me. It's not like it. I don't think it's not up there with Know You Naked yet for me, but I've like listened to that quite a bit so far. So I'm sure that this one will grow. But it's kind of more of like a 2000s like Boys to Men almost, kind of like R&B a little bit influenced. Which is interesting because it's interesting to think that it's kind of R&B influenced, because then you put that next to the Bieber stuff and they're totally different. And I think that speaks to both artists' creativity and nature, but I think it speaks to LANY more because you've got Paul and Jake, who are the band, and they're writing everything. Paul's writing everything, and Jake is also helping write and produce and whatnot. Like I don't know what their specific roles are, but anyways, the point is like that they have like honed a sound, and they have like separated themselves sonically in a way that is very cool. And it's just different, but also mainstream, like it fits well with the Bieber stuff at the same time, but it's clearly distinguishable. So yeah, I think those guys do a great job, and those songs are really cool and have been on repeat all week.